Hey, yo, welcome back to another episode of the Boston Sports Brothers podcast. We are thrilled to have Matthew Jenks with us from Barstool Sports, Frank the Tank's right-hand man, as well as Gabe and Big E this evening. Kraz and J-Matt will be jumping on with us a little later. But Jenks, thank you so much for taking some time with us this evening. And let's just dive right in. We got some questions for you about your background, about Frank the Tank and Barstool. So the first question we have is related to this weekend. Who has the bigger betting fixation, Mike Tyson or Frank?
Is Tyson known to be a big gambler?
Biting, like,
Oh, fighting,
Yeah,
fighting.
because
yeah.
he bites his glove.
I would say Frank.
Yeah.
But
I
it's
think,
not, if you look it up, it's an actual thing. Like it's not an accident when they were sawing people's legs off on battlefields, they bit on wood. When
yeah,
you're in extreme pain, biting is one of the, most simple, primitive ways to release yourself.
makes sense. All right. See, you learn something new every day.
Stress
Uh,
reliever.
absolutely.
Yeah.
But in talking with you leading up to this interview today, you had let me know that you were going to the UFC event this weekend. So how was that? How was it being with Stu Feiner? He seems like quite the guy to get to go to events with. And just did you get a chance to watch any of the Tyson fight on Friday night? And what were your thoughts on that debacle?
Yeah, I'll start with the Tyson fight. I think it hopefully could be the end to kind of the fake celebrity boxing stuff. It would be great if we got back to real boxers and respecting the sport and celebrating badass heavyweights that go in and fight people in their prime. It's weird to me that there's not a huge market for that. I almost put it on the leaders of whatever all the million boxing commissions that they don't all get together and figure it out. But yeah, it was cool to see Tyson come out. Outside of that, it was kind of a bummer. UFC, on the other hand, was awesome. Shout out to Game Time for hooking us up with amazing tickets. And Stu Feiner is one of one. I mean, I don't even know where to start. But yeah, it's like with Frank, a lot of people ask me, is it a bit? Does he do it for the camera? I'm like, what you need to understand is the hard thing with Frank is not to get him going with the camera. It's figuring out what we can actually put on camera because most of the shit we got to cut. With Stu, unfortunately, he's live half the time, so you can't even control him. And he was in his element. I'll tell you that much. He was acting like William Wallace post battle the entire night, just like bloodthirsty, victorious on life, which is one of the great things about Stu. And I'll tell you, just kind of jumping into my background a little bit, when I was working my way into Barstool, Stu was one of the first guys to really put his arms around me with no reason to do so other than just being generous. And he kind of felt every weekend during the summer and was so supportive of me always. To this day, he's one of my first phone calls when I'm stressed out. I think I'm one of his first phone calls when he's stressed out. And I can tell you he's a very genuine, great friend to have behind all of the craziness. And there is craziness too. So like when you tell Stu super private, it might be on Sports Advisors on Friday. I tune in on 7 o'clock, 7 o'clock on Friday. Anything could come out for my personal life in my mind.
Yeah,
And
Stu, go ahead. E.
I was going to say that he jump-started us into our next question about his background a little bit. We wanted to know a little bit about your background pre-Frank. Is it true that you worked with David Stern?
I didn't work with him. He actually was an investor at a company I worked for from 2016 to around 2020 called Vettery, that was founded by Brett Adcock and Adam Goldstein. And he was an investor, and he came and did a guest speaking stint with us. But the co-founders, I became one of the original salesmen, and my buddy Logan and somebody else. And when David came in, Mr. Stern came in, I asked Brett and Adam if I could, greet him at the door and let him out on the way out. And I pissed him off during his Q&A because I corrected him. He said Charles Oakley had the record for most rebounds in a game when the answer is Will Chamberlain. So that got him, I got his attention with that one. He did not like that. And then on the way out, I forced him to give me his email. That led to 2 years of me emailing him until he finally responded in all caps, stop emailing me with an address, a day, and a time, which was his office. And I met him at his office. And I sat down and he looked at me and he was like, listen, kid, I don't read my fucking emails on the computer. I print them out. I read them by paper. And you're what we call a CPA, a corporate pain in the ass. The amount of paper, ink, and time I would have spent dealing with your fucking emails made it worth it for me to take time out of my day to meet with you. So what do you want? That was like the beginning of the meeting. And then it evolved into like a 2 year friendship. And I don't know if you guys remember, but he kind of suddenly, or at least in my mind, suddenly passed away in January of, I want to say 2021 or two. And it kind of sucked because he was a mentor. It's not like we interacted me and told me I was a bitch and I could do more. And I was just reaching for the top rung and I'm not putting in the hard work. Like no matter what I did, I was just soft. And that's the best kind of mentor to have. They're just always challenging you. So he passed away. I figured that, that was that. And then I got an email and it said, you are on the list of David Stern's mentees. So we'd like to invite you to his funeral service at Radio City Music Hall. And my mind was like shattered at that point because I realized from that first meeting, he had decided because I was such a scrappy motherfucker that wouldn't leave him alone. He's like, I kind of like this kid. I'm going to give him a shot. And, and yeah, I went to that. I went to his service and Jordan and Kareem and all those guys were there. And that was crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty insane to know like the opportunities that you've had between that life before Barstool and obviously at Barstool, like sitting next to Spike Lee at a Knicks game is probably an experience unlike anything else. But
And
Kraz,
one thing I would say about that too is a lot of the experiences, and this is where I just always want to encourage not just young people, but like I got my job at Barstool at the ripe old age of 34, and I've been working in sales most of my life. I moved to Italy after college. I majored in writing poems. I got like laughed at almost like every turn in some way, shape, or form, or judged. And you can just do whatever the hell you want. You just have, and the point being, like when you said opportunity, I don't ever want people to think that opportunities just presented themselves to me. You have to just like create them and then keep creating new ones and new ones and new ones and have the expectation that most people are never going to respond, but you keep going. And that's always going to be the difference between people that break through and then the majority of people that are bitter and upset.
mindset is everything, which is a great lead into the next question. Kraz, welcome aboard. Good to see you, buddy.
Yeah.
Take the next
Sorry I'm
one.
late. Glad it wasn't a flat. So I don't know if I am repeating anyone's questions, but can you kind of like go into what your day looks like and just what you're balancing and kind of just like how do you and Mikey Betts figure out your workload?
What does a day look like? What day of the week?
Oh
A
man,
typical day. A
what's a
typical
good
day
day?
in the life of Jenks.
Is there a
Typical
typical day?
I guess
Typical
nothing
day.
is the same.
I
Or
normally
is it?
somewhere between 5 and 6. I get my shit together.
Parents' phone call.
Nah, not yet. I go down to the gym, I get the walk-in videos up. Then I normally shower, get to the office, call my parents, and then I spend the majority of the morning setting things up. Whether it be not normally for that day, I have things set up way in advance, but weeks, months down the road, I'm hammering endless celebrities and endless ways to try to get Frank Walks booked and any other kind of collaborations booked. My big philosophy that I learned from, especially I think Brett Adcock, who was the founder at Vettery Archer, now Figure, which is the top robotics company in the world, and he's the smartest human I've ever met. Write that name down, Brett Adcock. You'll all know his name one day. He really taught me extreme accountability, where he did this great exercise with me when I was in sales and I felt really overworked and strung out, where he said, all right, what does your day look like? And I used to get into the office at 7 a.m. and leave at 7 p.m. And I could never fill out. He'd make me do it in like 15-minute increments. So like literally to the second how I was spending my day. And I could never logically get through the 12 hours where I was being fully efficient, maximizing my potential for 12 hours. And it was one of those things that it still kind of tortures me to this day, where you always know you can do more. So again, going back to the regular day, it's those mornings I could really just do whatever the fuck I want. It's not like Frank micromanages me by any stretch. He comes in, walks into the gambling cave normally, and will look at me and he says, "What do you got for me?" Like Tony Soprano. And, it's a very loving relationship, but Frank has his quirks to him, and good morning is not in his arsenal. So it's always, "What do you got for me?" And then I'll always break down for him basically what the day looks like, as well as which he already knows because he's very organized himself, as well as more importantly, whatever's new. And that's one of the things that I love about Frank. And it really reminds me of Brett. And it's really funny because Brett's literally building robots and Frank is Frank. But, in terms of like the spectrum of their geniuses. But the two things that they both are obsessed with, and I find it a great similarity in their successes, is just shipping product, getting new things out, creating new things to get customers excited about or audiences excited about. And that's something that I think clicked really well with me and him, that might not have worked as well with other people. And I think that's where we've had a little more success than I think some people predicted. Like I think even Dave openly said when he was hiring us that he kind of felt like it was probably going to be a disaster, which is fair because he has great business instincts and most of his hires are probably disasters. And I'm a pretty eccentric person, so not to mention Mikey Betts, fucking weirdo.
Uh, Eric here. Big question for you here. We all love Frank's walks, and one of his biggest attractions, aside from the meltdowns, which we also love, are the walks. Did you think that the daily walks were going to start gaining the amount of attention that they did?
No. The reason the walk started, and one thing I always try to do on Twitter and stuff when people write really nice stuff, trying to give me all the credit, even though he's a lunatic about it now, and like I don't ever need to motivate him ever. He's obsessed with his walks. But it was Mikey Betts. Mikey Betts took me aside. One of the trips, I think we were in Chicago. We were in a parking lot. I just can very vividly remember being in that parking lot with Mikey, and Frank had gone to the bathroom, and his calves were just really purple that day. And Mikey took me aside and he said, "Listen, you've been with him long enough." And this has been, that was 417 days ago. I actually know the exact day, 417 days ago. He said, "You've been with him long enough. He trusts you, and you're the only one that's with him. You got to get him to start doing something because like this is bad." And Mikey, I can never give him enough credit. That was the talk that did everything. And then I felt immense responsibility to like get it going. And then the craziest thing is once it started, it was like nothing. Once it started, he said, "Let's do it a couple times a week." We walked the first day, and then we have walked 416 consecutive days.
It's
awesome.
unbelievably impressive to have that sort of dedication and like seeing even when he's under the weather, like you're on the road and literally everywhere all over the country that he finds the time to do it. And then just how it's blown up into the whole series that you have with sponsorships from Body Armor, and he's walking with Mike Francesa. And
You ever see
right,
the dark side
it's
of
insane.
wrestling, the dark side of the ring or whatever?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I wish we could do that with like Frank walks, where we could show footage of like when we're on the road late at night and he's at 9,500 steps and it's 10 o'clock and he's motherfucking everything under the sun, just ripping conspiracy theories, bears getting just all kinds of accusations, and then we like get to the hotel and we're literally walking laps around the hotel, like it is crazy. He's worked.
Late night edition. You go, instead of like late night with Jimmy Fallon, you got late night with Frank the Tank.
There was one night or one day I'll never forget. We couldn't find where we parked the car. We were with Mikey Beck. It was literally a Seinfeld episode when they couldn't find the car. And Frank's whatever he was wearing that counts as steps was dying, and he just Mikey and I still talk about it to this day. It might have been his worst meltdown. We couldn't film. That's the worst meltdown you guys have never seen, because you can imagine, like, we love the guy. He's actually in full distress. I'm not going to just start recording him like a piece of shit. It got to the point where a perfectly nice lady tried to help us. I think she gave us the wrong directions, but he was convinced that she had coordinated with the CEO of the company that owned the thing that was tracking his steps that would die and the whole history of his steps would be wiped. Oh my God, that was a stressful day.
So there is no typical day in the life of Jenks. You really never know what could happen.
And he gets in, we go through. So the day to day, it really depends. The one thing that's consistent is we always walk for about an hour and a half to 2 hours around Manhattan. And we've seen everything. We saw men die. We've seen breakups. We've seen all kinds of just crazy shit in the streets. And then for celebrities, is insane. So cops and firefighters especially always stop and do the sirens and stuff for him.
Looks like Kraz may have frozen on us, but I think that was going to be our next question. Like, what is it like being out in public with Frank? And like how often do you get stopped? It looks like if you go to like a Mets game, you can't walk more than 5 feet without him getting asked for a photo or something like that. So like what is that like? How and at what point do you like draw the line where you're like, all right, we got to keep moving, Frank?
Oh, so yeah, no, I had to learn very quickly how to handle it the right way. Because it is tricky, because he loves everybody, he wants to take a picture with everybody. But we do have like basic rules, like if we're in a concourse, he has to keep moving no matter what. And I'm good at making sure people understand that. So you can take a selfie with him, just like get in front of him and take it. Frank's not Usain Bolt, so it's not too hard to like do it with him. But it's gotten pretty crazy the day when we're in the streets. Like he gets stopped nonstop with the love and what's crazy was it always was that way, and it's grown. But it went from yo Frank the Tank or yo Barstool guy to keep walking, man. Or last week, just a random dude, once again. It's like, I lost 80 pounds because I started, I saw you. He actually said, I saw you might actually get skinnier than me. And I thought, I either got to lose weight or I'm going to kill myself. So I decided to lose weight. And then he showed us a picture and he lost legitimately 80 pounds. And for Frank, you have to imagine for a kid who grew up getting picked on for being the fat kid, for being different, for having a temper, just constantly being ostracized in so many ways. He now has people come up to him that range from people with stage 4 cancer like Don to people like Aaron, who's gone from heart failure to non-heart failure, to a guy like 2 weeks ago that looked totally jacked who stopped on his jog and was like, yo, Frank, man, I've been picking up my workouts. I see that you're putting it in yourself. Like, it's crazy to Frank. And I always laugh at him. I'm like, you're a fitness influencer, dude. Like, you went
I
from
think it's just something good to see. I mean, I know for myself personally, I've been watching you guys kind of from the get-go. He's just kind of, I was really like attracted, not that in that way, but just like his personality really just gravitated towards me. And it really is it's like, you're getting other people up and you're getting other people moving. And it's more than just, about, getting healthy and doing, having a personality on the side of you talking. It's, you're like creating a small movement almost, you know what I mean? And it's really powerful to see.
that means the world. And that's where, like, some of the stories we hear, it blows our mind and we feel a great responsibility to always deliver. And that's why we don't take any days off. The idea that somebody might really be down, and that's like, okay, like, people get down. That's normal. And they beat themselves up and they don't think that they're capable of improving and whatever else. They have all these doubts. But if you see, like, if you look at Frank, he was over 500 pounds and all he's been doing is walking. So he's not going to some special class. He's not taking any special supplements. He's been on diabetes medication, but that's not like,
Mhm.
taking
Yeah.
like weight loss stuff. And then
What was it today? He's down to a 2XL today.
I saw that.
218 and a half. Yeah, we got him in a 2XL the other day. First time since
Amazing.
7. But I think that
It's
is
crazy.
what the story is, that the simplicity. It's not about anything complicated. And that, I think there's a big market, unfortunately, in fitness for complicating things, when the reality is it's actually quite simple. It's all about consistency.
For sure.
Yeah.
Gabe, have the New York Knicks been consistent?
I'm not too sure if they have, but Jenks, just we want to respect your time. So
Shouldn't have made
I think
that. I think you guys another 5 if you want.
okay.
Sweet.
Thank you. Yeah, we wanted to talk to you about the New York Knicks. They are 7-6 going into tonight against the Wizards. Probably going to be 8-6 after that one. The Wizards aren't doing too well this year. How are you feeling about the team? And is it championship or bust?
Championship or bust is just ridiculous. I mean, I'm a Knicks fan. What are you talking about? We haven't won since 73. We got to the second round last year. Like, listen, I'm an optimist in general, and I love my Knicks. Championship or bust. You're out of your mind.
Would you say Eastern Conference Finals or bust?
That was disorienting. No, I don't think so at all, because I think we already busted our roster. That's like, I don't think comparing us to last year makes no sense, because we are legitimately a completely different team. And Hartenstein was a huge part of the team. People forget Mitchell was out for parts of last year. It's not like he played all year except for the playoffs. Hartenstein was carrying us for a majority of the year, and our strengths were offensive rebounding, and we had great interior defense. Now we're supposed to have all these fantastic wing defenders. We get lit up by every great wing scorer in the league. Now, the one thing that's driving me a little bit nut is I don't understand why Tibbs literally won't use the bench. I love him. I think his resume speaks for itself. What he's done for the Knicks speaks for itself. I'm not like calling for his job or anything crazy, but it is irresponsible. For example, Porty played 30 minutes a couple nights ago, and he had a really nice game. He had 3 blocks. That's what the entire Knicks team averages for the season. The following game, when Cat returned, he played 0 minutes. We got 3 of the top 10 minutes guys in the league in our starting rotation. Like, this is crazy. It's no value.
You don't shorten the rotation right now. You do that later down the road.
The crazy thing is you can both evaluate players as well as give them experience simultaneously. So by not playing them, what ends up happening is players are going to inherently get injured as the season goes on, and you're going to have to put them in anyways. So not playing them now and getting them prepared while resting the other guys, it's like literally you're shooting yourself twice in the foot.
Well, that came to a head last season with the playoffs, and it just got to a point where like the depth was tested.
That's why I don't even understand. If you look at the Knicks numbers, like they're hardly over 500. It's not like they've had a very hard schedule. They've played home games. I don't know why people think that they're this powerful team.
Well, I think it's A, the hype that they had last year, but B, like the trade, obviously. But I agree with you. Like they lost their identity from what the team that they were last year to bring in Carl Anthony Towns, and like they're more talented, but I don't know if they're better.
I think losing DiVincenzo is
Yeah.
so underrated. He was a big part of that team last year, and
Yeah,
you
I think
know,
I think it's very simple. Would you rather have Carl Anthony Towns or would you rather have Julius Randle and Dante? And I think any reasonable person would say Julius and Dante.
Yeah,
And those are two quality players.
Dante. Yeah.
And that's the thing with Towns is his defense is so bad that it does take away from his overall impact. Where like he's like a wing player, and we already have wing players. So if you don't have any interior defense, and he does, he's a net loss, a net negative on the defensive end, it's a huge hit. It really hurts the team.
well, it's like when you look at that Minnesota team when he was on there, they started to do really well when they brought in Gobert and they had that defensive anchor next to him. There's not that defensive anchor on the Knicks, so that's the problem. And I still think that there's a possibility that the Knicks improve throughout the season just with the roster that they have, but there's always the trade deadline too. So I'm not really gonna call that the season a failure yet, but we'll see where it goes.
No, it's still very early, and you're absolutely right. If anything, Leon's proven time and time again that he knows what he's doing. So hopefully, there's a couple moves up his sleeve because what's happening right now is madness. Like, let's just be clear, it's utter madness.
not
One last
sustainable.
question from
Go
us
ahead.
just before we let you get out of here. But I would say 2024 has been a big success for you and for Frank. What are you looking to accomplish the goal in 2025?
I want to have as much of a impact as possible in the short time I have on this planet. So I don't really think in terms of years. It's more of just waking up every day and not being soft. And as long as I keep that mentality, everything else works itself out.
Yeah, great way to end it there. The mindset is everything. Mindset is everything. Jenks, can't thank you enough for taking the time to join us tonight. What's that?
Appreciate you guys. It's the first time anyone's ever asked to interview me. Hopefully I did okay.
Yeah, for sure, man. You're inspiring, man. I'm
Yeah.
like ready to get up and start moving and start doing stuff, making an impact on this world. So
Some of those
you're an
stories
awesome, you're an
are
awesome dude, man. And you
Yeah.
got a great story.
some of those stories are hilarious too. Like
Yeah, we'll have to peel back the onion on a future episode and get into the late night Frank walks.
That's what
And
always remembers everybody's got a story. Every one of you, every person that listens, every person that's not listening, everyone's got a story. And everyone will try to divide people into different groups outside of sports. You really should try to stay away from it. But I like to think of it as there's really two types of people in the world. There's cool and not cool. And if you just focus on that, you'll be good. And it's not even avoid the not cool, just know how to work those motherfuckers.
Well, you certainly are part of the cool crowd, my friend.
You guys seem like it too. I appreciate it.
Great. Thanks for hopping on.
Off to the gambling cave is Jenks with the Pirate Dog shirt. We'll see you next time. Enjoy your evening, Jenks. We appreciate your time.
All right,
See you,
What up to
Jenks.
Frank?
Appreciate it.
All right, that'll do it. Matt Jenks from Barstool, Frank the Tank's right-hand man. Interesting guy, just like
Cool guy.
cool guy. And you can tell he thinks about things a little bit differently, almost with like this. He is a producer in a way for Frank. Like he's generating the ideas. I feel like that's the hat that he sort of has on day in and day out. So great to like get a sense of the way things work there and how involved he is. He's as you said, he's just a great guy.
His first interview with the Boston Sports Bros.
Yeah,
In the books.
I can't believe that he hasn't like jumped on a show with like KSC or something like that at Barstool, but I'm sure he's busy. But honored to have him. Honored that he took the time to join us. And that was a great interview. Hopefully, it'll lead to being able to have him jump on again down the road. And we've been really fortunate to have him and Elio on from Barstool. We have another guest, hopefully from there, joining us in a few weeks to talk Bruins, and that's a hint right there. You should know who that is if you're smart and know Barstool. And with that being said, there's other teams that we got to talk about. We got to get right into it, boys. After a
It's time to go
Patriots,
around town.
yeah, we gotta hit all the stops. We
Bring it
got
around town.
around the town we go, starting down in Foxborough, where that game took place yesterday. Like, let's set the stage a little bit. 28-22 loss to the Rams, a winnable game. Some things went well, some things I have a ton of questions and a ton of things that I want to talk about in regards to the game. But let's just start with overall takeaways and thoughts. Kraz, I feel like we leave you to the end on past games sometimes. So why don't you kick us off and then we'll go around the horn.
Let's go,
Yeah,
Kraz.
I mean, again, I'm gonna keep saying the same exact thing every single episode, unless where it was a complete failure or it was a gallivanting win or something like that. But it's just continuing to see improvements and continuing to see progress on all levels. So whether it's physically, mentally, emotionally, I just want to see these guys get better. I want to see them learn from their mistakes, and I just want to see them come together and play their own brand of football and develop their own identity. That's not the Belichick and Brady way, because I feel like they're still in this shadow of Belichick and Brady, and they need to be removed from that and find their own thing. So I just feel like whatever we get out of this team is a plus, as long as they're not regressing. I think we're in a good spot. And like we were texting about, the talent level between these two teams is completely clear. They are, the Rams are like heads above tails better than us as far as talent goes. And we put up a competitive game. That's all we want to see. When you put up a competitive game, you start putting together good behaviors, good habits, and it kind of just blossoms from there. So, I mean, that was really my outlook. Um, Defensively, there wasn't, I mean, I was kind of brushing down all the stats and all that stuff. It didn't really look like we did a lot on the defensive end as far as, tackles and stats and all that stuff goes. But again, it's just seeing these guys improve week to week, not necessarily getting wins, but seeing them find themselves, find an identity, and just play their brand of football.
They're getting there. I mean, it's what Teddy Bruschi said and what you just said. Like, the identity is there. You have a quarterback, so that's a good thing. But there's a lot of things that I have questions about. Gabe and E, tell me your thoughts on this game. Maybe you'll see. Maybe I'll see if you answer some of my questions.
Well, I mean, do you have a quarterback with this? I mean, Mac Jones was good his rookie year, and look how that turned out. So
Yeah,
Devil's advocate Gabe is in the house.
That's why
yeah. No, I think Drake May is way, what surpasses Mac Jones in every facet of the game, including
Mac Jones looked great yesterday, didn't he?
Oh yeah, what was that score? Like 100-3 or something?
52-6, something like that.
148 yards.
Sorry to
interception.
our resident fan in Jacksonville, Jared.
Yeah, so just kind of pushing buttons there, but Drake May would be my obvious choice, and I think he's going to continue to grow and show why he's should be our QB1 moving into the future here. But I guess my overall, Sam, you kind of hit all the nails in the head right there. My overall take was I was pretty entertained throughout the whole game. I thought it was a fun game to watch. It was competitive, like you said, Sam. It was a winnable game, and I thought our coaching really kind of prevented us from maybe winning that game. There were a few coaching calls by Gerard Mayo that really had me questioning what was going on. I think it was early on, he wanted to they were in field goal in range. We were all texting each other. We were saying, come on, like, just kick the field goal, give Joey
53-yarder.
Yeah, he's got a boot, give him a chance. Instead, they go for the punt. Questionable decision. They leave 3 points on the board there potentially, and this was a pretty close game going along there. So those 3 points could have been huge and kind of a momentum shifter as well. I'm sure E can touch on some other mistakes that Mayo made in that first half there.
Can we dive into that a little more before we get to that though, E? Because I think that was the pivotal point in the game. I think that's when everything changed. And what Mayo said at the end of the game, he's like, I felt that we were in control. They were up until that point. And then they made that decision, and the net yardage ended up being 22 yards in differential that they got by punting versus not kicking the field goal. And even if they missed, where the Rams would have been. And it's like, it's this, what I don't think that the coaching staff has realized is that the decisions that they're making throughout the course of the game have an impact on the mindset of the team as the game goes along. And that part of the game and that part of coaching is just something that they like haven't grasped yet. It's like they don't think about scenarios. If we do this, what could it potentially impact down the road in this game? They're only thinking about it in the moment of the context of the situation at that exact point in time.
Well, I think this is part of the issues with Gerard being the coach right now, and I'm not calling for Gerard to get fired. I'm not saying to not give him another year. I think this is just an issue of him as the coach with the team as it currently is constructed. He is by nature, and I think most defensive guys are like this. Bill Belichick certainly is. They tend to be conservative, right? This is a situation where you can't be conservative. You have to kind of throw your cards on the table and gamble a little bit. And take a look at someone like Dan Campbell, right? It has not always worked out for him. Last year, NFC Championship game. But like that mentality that he has, those guys go to war for him. So it's definitely something I would challenge Gerard to be a little more open-minded about going forwards. And I think it's also a learning process too. Like this is his what was that? His 11th game as a head coach.
Yeah.
So he's still in his infancy as his head coaching career is going along, and I have faith that he's going to make some changes going along. One thing that I do want to point on out, and someone we've crapped all over all season, is Alex Van Pelt. I thought Alex Van Pelt did awesome yesterday. I thought he called a pretty good game. I thought he put Drake May in position to do really well. And I know we've already touched on Drake May, but one other thing I'd like to really just call on out about Drake May is the best thing that I like about Drake May is he doesn't just have a favorite receiver. And yeah, obviously the Patriots don't have a huge talent at receiver right now, but he finds the open man. And like that to me shows me that we have the right guy. That between that and the way he slides around the pocket, like it didn't matter who the ball was going to yesterday. I had faith when Drake was going back there and he was loading up, not loading up the cannon like Brissett, but when he was loading up to throw, that he was going to make the right read and find the right guy. Obviously, that didn't happen on the last drive and the last throw that he made, but that's also a different situation where you're kind of desperate and you kind of gotta heave one up a little bit. So real positive on that. On the other side, we have a huge gap at cornerback opposite Christian Gonzalez. We got worked by Nakua and Cooper Kupp. That Cooper Kupp touchdown, both of them. The one where we did like engage 8, no one was back there. He beat everyone. The second one, he pretty much walked into the end zone on a curl route. So like we need some help there defensively. We need get a little bit stronger in the middle. And then the other thing that I would just say too is we can't stop the run. And like for a team that was so good against stopping the run last year, granted it's one game, so I'm going to give Barmore a pass. It's his first game with game action this year. Welcome back, by the way, Christian Barmore. I'm hoping that we'll start to see some more improvement there as the season goes along. But those are my 2 disappointments on the defensive side.
And another thing that you brought up, Eric, was kind of the wide receiver and how Drake May just finds the open man. It was really nice to see Kendrick Bourne get involved in the game last week or this past week. He had 5 receptions for 70 yards, his first touchdown of the season, coming off that ACL repair there. It was nice to see them kind of develop a chemistry, and I really hope that kind of blossoms as the year goes along.
Hey, we got to see a big boy touchdown too. So like it's good to see the big boys score too.
Lowe, let's go.
We all love seeing that too. And I agree, Gabe. It's good to see Kendrick Bourne getting back out there, especially after there was some talk over the last couple of weeks about sitting him and getting some of the younger guys to play. He's still got a lot to offer, and I'm still happy he's here.
You guys answered most of my questions throughout the course of the conversation there, but I think the biggest things that I had were May and like overall playing really well. Some decisions, rookie mistakes, and things that are just, questionable at times. Got to get on the same page at the end of these games with opportunities to win them. Like, that's where they got to flip the script a little bit. And I think going back to the coaching and the defensive situations that presented themselves throughout the game, I hated the game plan. How do you not put Christian Gonzalez on Nakua or Cooper Kupp and do what we talked about last week and how the effort was Belichickian in terms of how things went. Like, why did you not take another page out of that playbook? Put Christian Gonzalez on Cooper, their number 2, double Nakua with the Joneses, and then let it ride out from there. And they played zone coverage, and you let a 16-year veteran quarterback in Stafford just fucking pick us apart. And like, terrible defensive game plan, in my opinion. DeMarcus Covington has not gotten any real criticism throughout the course of this year, but this is directed at him. You got to be better. You got to be
Yeah,
better.
it's funny. I think the script has flipped a little bit where Van Pelt was getting all the ire in the beginning of the season and Covington was kind of getting the pass. I think it's really starting to trend the other way where Covington is trending downwards and Van Pelt is going upwards.
No
Interesting.
doubt. And as you said, like they need. I would love to see them draft a middle linebacker, a Mayo like type linebacker, in the early round next season and bolster that part with Bentley coming back. You know, you can
Give Donta Hightower someone with talent to coach as linebackers
please.
coach. Come on.
Absolutely.
That dude
And
deserves it.
I think I just feel like I want to end this segment. Just want to tip my cap a little bit to Matt Stafford. That guy's he played a hell of a game. He had 4 passing touchdowns. Cooper Kupp had 2 of them. So they're looking like they're getting back to shape a little bit. I've heard a lot of comparisons between Matt Stafford and Drake May the past couple days, which is interesting. Post Detroit Lions, Matt Stafford. So we'll see. It's it's exciting to see Drake May develop and see what he could potentially be down the road.
Well, I think everyone is loving Drake May. Mark Sanchez, who, we all obviously love here for his butt fumble and all that stuff from his time with the Jets. He was on the call and he was thoroughly impressed with Drake May. John Gruden, now with Barstool, was talking with Caleb Williams with Big Cat earlier this week, and unprompted goes, Drake May, that's the guy. He's going to be a superstar. He's a horse. Like, when someone like Chucky says that, it
He's a
really
pig.
it kind of gets me excited because that's an offensive
Tar
guy
Heel.
who knows exactly what it takes to be successful in this league, and he can see it with him. So let's see where it takes us.
Yeah,
High praise.
for sure, for sure. Things to look forward to, improving in some areas each week, but it would be nice to put wins in the win column as opposed to having these sort of moral victories sort of Mondays and Tuesdays as the week goes on. But division opponent in the next game coming up, we see Tua and the Miami Dolphins down there, I believe.
Old friend Jonnu Smith put up
They
2
ever get a-
touchdowns last week.
Did
Aaron
you ever
it
get a
up.
bye week?
Oh, we should put money on Jonnu Smith as an anytime touchdown because we always get torched by expats.
It's tight. Well, and
just,
tight ends.
just saying,
All
and
right.
tight ends too. So
Tight ends are on us this year.
Put it on the board, Johnny
Right there.
Smith, anytime,
anytime
touchdown.
touchdown.
Can we jump to the Bruins before the Celtics right now?
For sure.
Please, with the
Because-
nonsense of that team.
We've got a breaking score right now.
Oh,
First period against the lowly Columbus Blue Jackets
Oh,
down
God.
3-0.
Oh
they're still
God.
down. Oh,
Oh,
man,
God.
I thought you were gonna give me some good news there. For a
That
minute.
seat's getting real hot.
Yeah, so I think we should just we'll talk Celtics. It'll be a good way to end on a
No.
positive.
Let's go Bruins right now. Yeah.
We'll end on a positive note, but I
Set
think
the
we should
stage, Gabe.
think we should go in on the Bruins a little bit here.
Agreed.
I don't really. This team is completely underperforming right now. No offense to be spoken of, which is kind of normal for Bruins teams, and they kind of get through that. But the weird thing is the goaltending and the defense has been horrible. Completely disgusting. I mean, you have some injuries on the D-core with Hampus Lindholm going down with a lower body injury. He's going to be out for a couple weeks. They're saying week to week. Who knows what that means? But Jeremy Swayman, I mean, Plotty, you were
Gabe.
about to go nuclear on Swayman the other
Gabe,
night.
do you think that this is because he sat out for so long and he didn't get himself ready for the regular season? I mean, I'm not a hockey head at all. I'm just curious your thoughts on that.
I think that is a good excuse.
Yeah.
I feel like that is a possibility. Like he's still kind of working his way in, kind of feeling it out more. He's playing more games than he's used to because Olmark's not there. But it's clear that Korpisalo has outplayed him. I enjoy watching games that Korpisalo plays more because they're more competitive. I'm sorry, but Swayman's not playing up to his contract right now, and the guys that Sweeney traded for are playing like dog shit. Like this team
Zadorov sucks.
yeah, and Elias Lindholm really hasn't done anything. I mean, I was looking at their box score for their season stats, and Trent Frederick, who had 2 goals the other night, he's still a -11 overall, and like really the whole team is minus numbers when you look at it, and it's very shocking. Just because everybody was like, oh yeah, playoff team, no doubt, no doubt. Like this team is going to the playoffs. And it's like, yeah, we can say like they need time to gel and all that, get chemistry, but how long are we gonna have to wait here for something to pop? I mean, it's just getting really frustrating, as you can tell.
Gabe, I know we're not there yet, and hopefully we don't get there. But like the team has been on a pretty like crazy run when you go back, even going back to like the mid 2000s. I always like to go back to when they were in that first round series in Montreal 2007. They've been competitive for, almost 20 years, give or take a few years in between there. Is this team about to run out of gas, and are they going to have to potentially reset and get rid of some pieces? Obviously they have some guys that are getting long in the tooth like Marchand, but it kind of is looking more like that is a real possibility here, more so than we all thought.
I completely disagree, Eric. I think it's like coaching is a problem with Monty and they're not replying to him, but they have the talent on this team to be much better than they are. There's no reason that this team should be losing 3-0 to a 14-point Columbus Blue Jacket team in the first period as we're recording right now and have an 8-2 record or whatever it is. Like
At
they're
home, at home, by
too
the way.
they're too good. And I got to go back to Jeremy Swayman because for him, I don't know what's going on. I don't know if it's in between the ears. And he was on that Mark Lewis podcast. I don't know if you guys caught any of that. Shout out to Mark, who does a great job. Kind of did what we did and got himself started. Now he's having great interviews with people. But he was on that and he was like, Swayman just talked like he was the smartest guy in the room. Like, my mentality shifted about this contract, and then all the fucking bullshit that happened with that contract. And we dumped on Lewis Gross for a while when that was going on. I can only imagine what Jeremy Swayman was like behind the scenes with all that going on and how much shit Lewis Gross might have eaten on his behalf. But as it stands, he has an 880 save percentage and a 335 goals against average. And he's right on fucking pace tonight, being in that against Columbus. And when you're giving up over 3 goals a game, guess what that means? Your team has to go score 4 goals a game that the Bruins cannot fucking do, especially
No.
with the last power play in the league. So it's like, this team is all out of source from everything, but it starts at the back line, and Jeremy Swayman should probably be fucking benched for how poorly he's played. I think he sucks right now, and he deserves to be in the doghouse for a week and get his
Sit him
shit
for
together.
sit him for 3 straight games. Yeah, let Corpusalo just get the run.
And if
I'm
he
with
has
you.
a hot hand, fucking ride it. Like, who cares who the goalie is at this point? Like, he sucks. He's doing absolutely nothing to keep this team in games or like make any sort of spectacular saves to you have to be able to win games 2-1 sometimes. Like, you got to be able to do it, and he's not giving them any chance whatsoever to do that. And
And
And we know he's
nobody's talking
capable.
about it.
We know
you
he's
know,
capable.
and you know what sucks is like Monty's gonna get the brunt of this. He's probably
Right.
gonna get fired pretty soon because of like all that's going on. But it's like these players they're not showing up either, and they deserve a lot of criticism for how they've been playing and how they started this season. So as I mean, Monty's gonna be the scapegoat, but we'll see, what happens from there. And also, it's just a little concerning, like. There's not really much in the pipeline for the Bruins coming up. Like I'm worried that we're coming to a head here where this team could start going into a rebuild phase.
Well, that's exactly what I was saying, Gabe.
So
Trading
what?
trading some
Yeah,
big
I was gonna say,
pieces
what do you think that would look like?
like
Like, who do you think
trading
that they
like
would
a
go?
McAvoy who's been I mean, he hasn't been underperforming, but that's someone who will get you like a big package to change this team around. And or I mean, I know Felger is not a big Pasternak fan. I love Pasta, but he's horrible in the neutral zone. He turns over the puck. His only skill is scoring goals. And if he's not really even doing that, then like what the hell is his purpose on this team?
I mean, it's hard to say what they're going to do, and I think just to counterpoint what you were saying, Plotty, I do think like yeah, like there is a lot of talent on this team, but there's something about the way that they gel and why I think like it'll almost be an addition by subtraction, and I don't just mean Monty. I don't think just firing Monty is going to fix things that are on the squad. I think that this is not a squad that move is just going to magically be like, oh, we're going to go on a run. It can happen just like any other sport. I think hockey is probably the most likely when you make a move that it actually does move the needle. But there's something about the gel and the makeup of the players that just doesn't feel right and really kind of never felt right from the get this year. So I hope that I'm wrong. I hope that they get better. But right now, it's hard to be optimistic as a Bruins fan.
Look, they got 3/4 of the season to right the ship here. The season can't be written off at this point in time. They're in the last playoff spot, but they have a stretch here over the next 6 games that are winnable games. There's no team that has more than 1 point than they do in the standings, and it's not off to a great start here. So it'll be
Yeah.
interesting to see, next time we record, depending on how things go, if Jim Montgomery's still the head coach and is Swayman actually riding the pine. And they're mixing it, and matching. All the ups and downs from Providence, and like they're trying to find the combination, but it feels like they're just pressing every button on the dashboard to make
I'm
it
not
happen.
convinced they're going to lose tonight. I think it's very likely, but this team could show something and start pushing back. All it takes is a win like this and stringing together, one or two more, and things can happen. So I
That's
want to
very
end on a
true.
little bit of a positive note and just kind of say that, hey, we'll be keeping our eyes out tonight on Monday. The spot will be out on Wednesday, and if the
The,
score somehow changes, we
Yeah.
will know.
Someone just watched the comeback.
Yeah,
the Blue Jackets are that's a team you could come back 3-0 from, so we'll see.
well, and that was the positive thing I think last week was they had that game versus St. Louis that they were down 2-0 going into the third, and then they made the comeback in the third period to win that game 3-2. So it's like, all right, we got a nice win like that, and then the next night versus Dallas was just not great. So
Correct.
what you don't know is what you're going to get on a night in and night out basis from the Bruins. So hopefully it's more of a period by period thing, and everything we just said in the last 10 minutes related to this Columbus game is a completely moot point, but that will be determined. And what will be determined tomorrow night is whether the Cleveland Cavaliers will remain
Oh,
undefeated
man.
or if
J-Man not even here.
the
Yeah,
reigning
he can't even defend his
championship.
team.
Well, fuck the
Not even
Cavs. I think
here.
the Celtics come out tomorrow night. Well, I think Cleveland's going to come out and try and put the pedal to the metal,
Yeah.
but
I
this
think
is
they'll have
going
a
to
good first quarter.
it's going to be a playoff like feel at the Garden tomorrow night. Let's just talk about this game first, and this game will be over by the time that the episode comes out. So let's preview this Cavs game a little bit with our audience knowing that hopefully the Celtics are winners of this game, and then we'll do a quick rewind at the week that was for the Celtics. But thoughts on the game tomorrow night? A big game in the NBA slate here in the early season, a tournament game,
So,
I think.
so I think it's going to be a highly competitive game. I really want to see what the Cavs have to bring to the table. Like Josh said, Jared Allen was not around last year in the playoffs, so we didn't really get to see him. With that being said, I do expect it to be a very, very highly competitive game. They have a lot of wings. That I don't know if they're building their team to lock Jason Tatum down. I don't know what the league's doing as far as trying to construct teams. I would assume it would be to take down the big dogs. So I expect a highly competitive game tomorrow. I'm not sure about you guys. Also, take into account we don't have Porzingis and Jaylen Brown's also coming off of an injury too. Not giving any excuses at all, but just want to throw that out there. We don't have our full team, so
I just want to say, really excited about the game. I actually think it's going to be a close game, and I think we're going to separate in the fourth, and I'll give you a couple reasons why. First off, one thing I'm really excited about with the game is Spider Mitchell, Donovan Spider Mitchell, and Jaylen Brown have this like friendly rivalry. Like they're friends, but when they're on the court, they bring out the best in each other. Really excited to see them play. Quick little Jaylen Brown stat that I'll share with you guys as well. Something I saw earlier this week. Jaylen Brown had more free throw attempts in like the past 6 games than he's ever had in his past career. 6 games that he's played. So he's getting to the line. He's
and
being
he's been hitting them
aggressive,
too.
and he's been hitting them. So Jaylen Brown, watch for him to attack. If they're gonna just try and double up on Tatum, Jaylen Brown's gonna wreck you on the inside. Other things that I'm also really excited about for this game is I think like the Celtics bench, as weird as it sounds, is probably not getting as much props as they should. I know we have been giving a lot of props to Peyton Pritchard, but Sam Hauser's been coming on as of late as well, and I think this is the perfect game for Sam Hauser to end up, dropping a cool 12, 15 off the bench. We haven't really seen much of that from him this year. He had an injury at one point to the back, so I can really see a big Sam Hauser game happening here too.
Would love to see Hauser light it up a bit versus Cleveland tomorrow night. So hopefully a win for the Celtics in that game. But let's take a quick trip back of the week that was a loss to the Hawks by 1 point at the end of the game. I think JB misses a shot from the free throw line to sort of let that one go. And then a beatdown of the Nets midweek, and then they win with the Tatum overtime 3 versus the Raptors over the weekend. So all games on the table. We can dive into what we liked or what we didn't like in each of them. Any thoughts on the week that was for the Celtics?
Did Tatum travel on that game-winning shot?
Oof.
I don't think I don't
I
think
don't
his
think so.
pivot foot slid. And secondly, Jaylen Brown got fouled, so I think it would it have
Yeah.
been would it have been side out? I don't know if they were in the bonus yet at that point.
No, I don't know.
They
But
weren't, so probably would have been side out.
I
Quick
think
takeaways. Oh, sorry. Go
yeah.
ahead, Gabe.
Well,
Go
I was
ahead.
just gonna say, Tatum is continuing to play at an MVP caliber clip. His maybe scoring has gone down a tiny bit, but he's had some real
What
close triple doubles the past couple nights, impacting the game in way more than just scoring. So that's a positive for sure.
what is the national hate about with Tatum? Like, I don't understand it. Like, everyone's still Jokic. It's like, can someone please give Tatum his flowers at some point?
I
The
actually like it.
kid's
I actually like it, Sam, and I'll tell you why. Because it's a motivating factor for him and for us. You want to know what? Screw what everyone else thinks. Like, sure, I want him to get his flowers too, but if it propels him to continue to play like he's been playing, then so be it. Like, I'm gonna do whatever's gonna make him put out the best product out there, and if people not recognizing his talent and looking at other people as the thing, then so be it. You want to can't convince a horse to drink water. You can only lead it there. We can tell people what's going on. We can't force them to accept it. That's not our job, unfortunately.
we just got to keep winning rings, I guess.
Exactly, right.
Putting
Uh,
We'll just keep
banners in
taking
the
them.
rafters and banners at JetBlue Terminal C. They raised that one today. That was funny to see.
just a few quick thoughts. Like, I'm not worried about anything this past week. If anything, like the loss to the Hawks, like you are going to get some of those games, and it sucks that it was an NBA in tournament season game, and it was against the Hawks where they were without Trae Young. But if you actually look at the numbers, the Hawks are actually better without Trae Young roster, like record wise, over the last couple of years. So it actually makes sense because you don't have someone who's dominating the ball. So they played a lot better without him. And so, yeah, I was a little shocked that we lost. We kind of took our foot off the gas, but those happen. You learn from it.
And they
The
also
next
have the number
game,
one pick.
exactly. The next game, we did what we were supposed to do. We dominated against the Nets. Nothing was kind of out of the ordinary there. The other thing that I would also like to just chat about too with the next game with the Raptors, Sam, I think you were pretty down on them after that game and or even during the game, but like you need those games, and those are games that are momentum winners. Yeah, like we didn't have Drew Holiday, we didn't have Porzingis. Things weren't necessarily going our way. I thought the refs kind of sucked, honestly, on Saturday. But the fact that like we ended up walking away, Tatum hit that at the end of overtime. He should have hit that at the end of regulation and missed by a
Don't even
wide
get me
margin. So
started.
I am going to crush him for that because that was an awful, awful shot from
That was the
pretty much
basketball.
a free
It was
throw
a new
line.
basketball. It was a new basketball.
Doesn't
It
matter.
wasn't warning.
Should have hit
Wasn't
that.
warning.
But I think like also Peyton Pritchard, huge, huge in that game. So Peyton Pritchard has been coming in as a spark and he's been doing great things. Hauser also stepped up in overtime. Defensively, he's been so good. And like I don't think people give him his due for what he's done defensively and how he's developed. Everyone's like, oh, he's a three-point specialist. He's a 3-and-D guy. His D is actually pretty good. So wanted to give Hauser some credit there as well.
For E&D.
Yeah, yeah. If you look at the
All
numbers,
in.
if you look at the numbers, Tatum is having an MVP like season. The question is based on everything we just talked about. Are people going to agree with that? Or are they going to go with the more popular pick? But fuck the national media. Fuck the in-season tournament. I want them to beat the Cavs, but I really don't give a shit if they win that or go to Vegas or whatever. It's like what matters is in June, and that's how things will be judged. And that's really what's up with the Celtics here. I mean, they continue to roll on. I looked at a tweet that Sean Grandy put out today. This team is pretty much exactly at the same point they were at this point of the season last year. 11-3, and all the nerd stats that everybody loves with the NBA are pretty much identical. So this team's on pace to have another great year. Keep the health going as we get going. It looks like Porzingis is close.
Hey,
Yeah.
he is. He was practicing with Maine today, but I think it might be time to take a little trip down Sturo Drive and end up at the Fens. We've been missing the Fens,
We've
for
been
a little
missing the
while
Fens.
since the playoffs kind of started. But Sammy
Yankees
Stats,
lose.
what you got on your shirt there? Is that a little Red Sox I see?
I'll start that.
A little
This
Red
is
Sox. Well, the
this
news
is 2000. This is a 2010 spring training shirt, actually.
there you go.
Oh,
No,
humble brag.
2013. 2013. 2013.
We gotta. There's a
Johnny
lot.
Lester, baby.
There's a lot baseball wise, but I think we have to start with what's been the talk of the week across all of baseball, and that is one free agent, Juan Soto, who there was a meeting, a big meeting that a big person didn't attend. So let's talk about Juan Soto first, and then we can talk about some of the other players and some of the other talk that's going on. But I think Soto deserves a undivided attention from us for the next few minutes here. So Kraz, kick it off, and we can all dive into will this potentially even have a chance of
Oh, I
happening?
think we might even get a JMAT sighting.
Oh God.
He might be waiting to hop in.
All right. Well, we'll go to the bullpen if he does.
So, anyways, yeah, the front office flew out to California to talk with Juan Soto. They pitched their whole idea. And we'll see what happens. We all know what's gonna happen. We all know what the Yankees. We all know what Hal or George, whatever fucking Steinbrenner is there. They're gonna say whatever the last team, whatever the biggest offer is, come back to us and we'll make you another offer. And you know what I'm going to do if I'm John Henry? I'm going to say, when they say that to you, come back to me and tell me what they fucking offered you, and I'll offer you fucking more, because that's what they need to do to sign them. And if they do, it kind of puts into like motion this huge transformation of this team that ultimately could really make them a contender year in and year out for the next probably decade. And legitimately, they're talking about trading for Garrett Crochet. They're also talking about trading for Vladimir Guerrero. And then you sign an ace. They're speaking with both Blake Snell and Max Fried. Unfortunately, Corbin Bruins is not on our radar. He's on the Dodgers and Orioles radar. But yeah, if that happens, I think a lot of dominoes start to fall, and we're back in contention, boys.
Yeah, he moves the needle from here all the way to the other side in terms of, becoming a viable team, and more so interest, just like the interest in the Red Sox when they're going and when they're not going, and an entire vibe. Like, it's palpable when you go down to Fenway. You can feel it. When the oh my God. You can feel
Hey,
it when the team is rolling there. But like, if they do sign Soto, I think they have to be like the Dodgers in terms of sort of trying to go all in here and win a championship with a player like that in his prime. So, J Matt, welcome.
What up,
We
boys?
we just dumped on your Cleveland Cavaliers for a few minutes. We'll let you talk about that, but we're middle of Red Sox and Juan Soto, as well as
Ooh.
baseball hot stove right now. So that's the topic at hand, as the hair and beard continues to grow on the face of one J Matt. Let's keep the baseball conversation going here. Anything else in terms of just free agency and the stove seemingly starting to heat up?
Sammy
Uh,
K, can I ask you about one Japanese pitcher that is, in the hearts and minds of a lot of people, and just like what he's potentially giving up by going pro
Mr.
now
Ricky Sasaki.
versus going in a couple years? I just find it to be like a real interesting story. So I
You
just
mean
wanted to
like
get your
300
take on that, and
million?
then dive into some of the other stuff.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's 23 years old. He's already pitched a perfect game in Japan. Um, we know the track record of pitchers from Japan, starting way back with Daisuke. I mean, look at Kikuchi. There's a bunch of other guys, Maeda, Fujin Ryu. There was obviously Otani.
Daisuke.
I said Daisuke.
Was
I know,
Okajima?
That was the
but I just want to
first
say
person I said.
Daisuke. I just want to say
Uh,
Daisuke again.
but yeah, I mean, you take a guy like that, and now you have 6 years of control. Where if he just waited a few more years and stayed in Japan, he could have came over here and commanded a $300 million deal. That's kind of what he's giving up. He's giving up some years of control.
He's
And does
technically an
that bode
amateur,
well
right?
for the Sox? Yes. So does that bode well for the Sox? I don't know. Yes, it could. I mean, are the Dodgers trying to go all in? Of course they are. But I think if John Henry opens that wallet, man, and everything's gonna happen once Soto signs. Once Soto signs, everything else is gonna start moving. Um, I don't know when he's gonna sign. I see him maybe going a little bit after the winter meetings, or maybe during the winter meetings. I know a lot of talking takes place during the winter meetings, so we'll see. That's coming up shortly. But yeah,
Sam,
once Soto goes, things are gonna move.
would you rather like them risk it and spend the money on the Japanese player, or like someone that you know is already proven, like a Max Fried or a Snell or like someone who like you'd
I want
want to take
both.
the risk. Well, okay, if you had to
I'd
choose
want
one though.
both. Well, I mean, you're not
I mean,
choosing one
money.
because
I
one's
mean, John
one's
Henry's not
one's
opening up
coming
his
cheaper.
checkbook. I don't know if you can
Yeah,
have both.
Roki's coming real cheap,
Roki's coming
Josh.
cheap.
He's
You're
technically
having
an
years of
amateur.
control. So he would be like he'd be in like the doubles technically. I mean, I forgot how it works out. I don't have it right in front of me, but yeah, he's not coming over here and saying I want 10 years, 300 million. He's coming over and he's under someone's control for 3 or 4 years before he gets to that contract. He'll probably have a year or two of arbitration where he'll make, 25 to 30 million, maybe 35 with, arbitration going up each year. But really he's taking a gamble by coming here and pitching.
Sounds like the
So
perfect guy for John Henry to sign.
yeah, it
I don't
does.
know.
Right.
It
I
does.
just have like
It
my
does.
second thoughts with the whole Daisuke situation, how that like went down.
Well,
and
here's the
all
thing
the
about
international
Daisuke.
money spent, and like I don't know, like
But
I'm almost like
Daisuke
I'm almost like just spending on someone you know is gonna like do
but
well in the
but
league. It's
but
already been
Daisuke
proven.
did well in the league, and then he went and he did
That Euro
the
ball.
He did all
he did the
right.
Japanese. No, he did very well, and then he went to the WBC and he started throwing like Plotty said that Euro ball that he didn't throw here, and he did something to his UCL that we don't know about, and he probably got Tommy John and like threw and then had an injury and was just injured a lot and just never kind of came back too. But he was a good pitcher.
Yeah, I think that. I mean, he won a World Series with us. He was 18-3
Yeah,
one year. Like
2007.
he had a very good year. It's awesome that I really hope that Soto signs and that things start to happen here in the early going of baseball hot season, because when the stove is hot, like it's as entertaining and as fun to follow as any other free agency in sports. So I'm hopeful, but it sounds like these meetings with Soto are going to drag through Thanksgiving. The fucking owners haven't even showed up to these meetings yet. It's like, and it's going to come down to, is John Henry going to be willing to go up against the Steinbrenners or whoever the fuck owns the Yankees now, and Steve Cohen, whose checkbooks are unlimited? And is John Henry going to say, you know what, I'm back, or I'm
But
not?
I want to reframe this a little bit too. Like, because like if they don't get Soto, it doesn't mean that like they can't improve and get better. Like,
Yeah.
Sam, I think you're a big proponent of like try and sign Snell, get Crochet. If you can get both of those guys, and somehow you're able to trade for Vlad, this team could be really good next year.
Or
So
sign
yeah,
Bregman.
of course I want Soto, and of course I want this team to be like the
Yeah.
favorite going into next year. But we don't have to get Soto for this offseason to be successul.
I agree.
This
Completely agree.
this only happened once, there was word on the street that Soto even wanted to come here. Like none of us thought that Soto wanted to come here. We thought that was,
And look how excited we all are.
We are.
It's
We haven't
like-
been this excited for the Red Sox in how long? Like, and then Soto is mentioned. We're like, oh my god, we could fucking have a.
But like
a
to Eric's
bat.
point though, like if you're gonna spend 600 mil, like couldn't you do that on like 3 players rather than one? Like
No,
spread it,
not in
spread
this
it out?
market. Not in
I
this
don't know.
market. You can't.
Sure?
Yeah, not in this market, man. You just gave Shohei Ohtani. I know he's a two-way player, but you
Yeah,
just
but
gave
we're not-
Shohei 750.
Yeah, but we're not. That's
You,
what I'm
you
saying.
have to
If
overpay
you
in this
don't,
league.
but if you don't pay Soto, can't you allocate that money to like
Yeah.
two other
Oh, yeah.
2 players, maybe 3 players? And that's what I'm saying.
Oh,
Like
100%.
your
100%.
money
You'll get
goes
better
further.
on another level.
Yeah.
So,
All
so
right,
the
so
downside
let's-
to signing Soto is he's not the best outfielder.
So
But go ahead, buddy.
what we're really looking for is are the Red Sox gonna, hand out this contract to Soto? Or are they gonna, let's call it at least $300 to $400 million in contracts for big time free agents to come in here this
Big
offseason?
question.
Like, that's really what it comes down to. Are they going to hand out some of those kinds of deals? So they have the opportunity to do it. They need to do it for, like, they can feel the fan base behind it with this Soto thing. So all to be determined when it comes to the Red Sox. The Fenway 5 is still on standby for truck day. If none of this happens and we go in and fucking our biggest signing is Justin Wilson, who everybody jumped down my throat when I said this is a dumpster dive of a move for the Red Sox. The guy just came off a season. He's fucking 37 with a 5.7 ERA, and we're
Who's
supposed
the
to be excited.
reliever?
It's a depth move.
It's like Rich Hill
a
again.
depth
Like,
move,
what the
my
hell?
fucking asshole. It's a depth move. Nobody knew if it was an MLB or a minor league deal until somebody got the fucking scoop. So give me a goddamn break. All these fucking
Oh, he
people.
works at Lowe's in the off season.
Yeah, like for real, like picking up mulch for Christ's sakes. And the other thing that grinded my gears with the whole offseason is in the context of this Soto conversation, what came back around was should the Red Sox have offered Mookie Betts a contract of the range of 35 to 40 million? And many people are like, you can't go back in time. You can't talk about this. And it's like, what are you talking about? The Sox had the opportunity to keep a homegrown generational talent. Now you're talking about spending $500 million on a player. We're not allowed to
Hall
talk
of
about
Famer.
it. Carabas and Lou jumped down my throat on Twitter.
I was going to say
and
those two specifically. Yeah.
And then 16 minutes into section 10, great episode that they had. I listened to the 3+ hours. They're talking about the Mookie situation and exactly what I just said. And it's like,
come
we're
on.
allowed to talk about it. What do you mean we can't talk about it?
How do you
Yeah,
mean we
they're
can't talk about it? It was a
they're using your
colossal
take.
mess up. It was a colossal mess up.
Oh,
And here's
let
the
me
thing.
sign him.
You're not
Yeah,
going to sign up. You're not going to sign a former Hall of Famer. Like, come on. Of course, we can talk about that 5 years after the fact. You guys are crazy if we can't.
Yeah, and I think we can all say without a doubt, Mookie Betts is a Hall of Famer. He's an active Hall of Famer at this point.
He balled a 300. Okay, that's 12 fucking strikes.
12 strikes, and he plays
I get it.
pickleball with Doug Ellen, the creator of Entourage.
We can't go back and obviously change what happened 5 years ago, but I don't think it's revisionist history for us right now to say, hey, you could have offered Mookie Betts like half of what you're going to offer Soto, and you could have had him to build around over the last 5 years. So yeah, I do think it is worthwhile to bring on up.
I get that the team
100%.
I get that the team was turning over, and now you see this pipeline of the young players that we've talked about on previous episodes sort of coming to fruition. So I get that, but like they've been a middling team the last 3 years, right on the cusp of being in playoff hunts until August, or the opportunity to make runs. And if you have a guy like Mookie Betts on your team, you're that much more inclined to be able to do so, and you're much more inclined to go into the marketplace and spend some more money to give that kind of guy support. Somebody like Evaldi or some of these other free agents that have been available the last couple of years, they probably would have been in on a little bit more. But
I want
and this and that, like fuck the tax, go and fucking win.
I want the Red Sox owners from 2001 to 2000, like 7, 8, 9, like when they actually spent money. Like, please go back to that era.
You know what that would be? It would be oh yeah if they did that.
I'd give them so much credit.
In 2020, before they traded Mookie Betts away, they signed him to a record-breaking $27 million per 1 year arbitration deal.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
insane. You know what this fucking pisses me off. Like,
So to not be able to talk about it is wild.
2021, we were at that playoff game against the Yankees where it was a crazy game. They were a great team in 2021. They beat the Yankees, and then they played Houston, and they lost 3-2 in the series. Like, you're not telling me Mookie Betts could have like made a difference in 2021 in the playoffs? Like, come on, guys. Of course,
I was at one of those games against Houston where we were down 1 run to end the game.
Yeah,
and like Mookie Betts totally could have made a huge difference. So yeah, we're gonna talk about it because it's a blemish over the last couple of years that the Red Sox made, and they need to be held accountable to it.
Undoubtedly. So that's that. Look at that. We have baseball coursing through our veins tonight. That's the most passionate I think we've been about baseball in a long time. But that's exactly what I mean. Like when this team, when they're going and they're at the top, they are the top team in town. Don't forget, before the Patriots went on this 20-year run, the Sox were the top dog. They were the lovable losers, but they were the leadoff sports team in this town. So they have a chance to really get back into it.
They're fourth. They're fourth in the running right now too. I think like they got a lot of ground to make up, and some goodwill will go a long way.
Yeah, and it was a fantastic MLB offseason. I think baseball interest is kind of at a good place right now. So let's, God willing, hope this team gives us a reason to be excited come springtime. So
quick Bruins score update. Bruins are on the power play, second period, still down 3-0.
So don't hold your breath around the power play. That's a waste of 2 minutes.
I know, but we went in on them a little bit earlier.
So before we get to J Matt, you get 60 seconds of Cleveland Cavalier talk with a big game coming up tomorrow night with the Celtics, and then we're going right into said our piece.
No, I mean let's remind ourselves it's a regular season game. It's just one of 82. So regardless if they win or if they lose, like it doesn't matter. We're talking about a 7-game series, and that's what I'm most concerned about with the Cleveland Cavaliers. I'm not concerned about tomorrow night. Screw the NBA Cup. Like honestly, that's the court and the jerseys are awful. I can't express that enough. Like the biggest like the Celtics, like that's like such a traditional like look to me, like the whole court and everything, and the jerseys, like don't mess it up. But regardless, I don't know. I think that Cleveland's good, but I just don't think they could take the Celtics in a 7-game series. So it's gonna be a great game. It's great for the NBA. It's incredible. The ratings I'm sure are gonna be through the roof. But it's 1/82.
All right. Documented, accounted for, receipts
I
will
like your
be
even
kept.
keeled. I like your even keeled approach. You're not going to get too high, not going to get too low.
Nope, not yet.
Are you going to get loud right now, E?
Yeah, because you know what time it is. It's time for yeah. Oh, and can I get a oh yeah?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Anyone want to
yeah.
kick us off with a yeah oh or an oh yeah?
Yeah,
Uh,
I got some names here. So Gabriel, kick it off.
yeah. So, well, let's start off with the yeah. Oh, Boston College Eagles football team. Thomas Castellanos gets benched, and news coming out that he's going to be entering the transfer portal. Transfer portal is just it's bad news. It's just it gives players. I mean, he got benched, like, and you're just gonna go transfer to another team now, like. What that should be like a motivating factor to like work harder and like want to get your position back with the team. But now because of this all this NIL and transfer portal bullshit, it's like, oh, let's go to another team and make more money and we'll see how that goes. It's so annoying.
SAFT soft.
Soft.
SAWFT
That's right.
soft.
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 It's like Jenks said, soft.
1000%. Very,
Not
very
cool.
soft. Nah, it's not cool. It's not. That's the way college football is now. Nobody's to blame other than the NCAA for letting the rules be what they are with that. But hasta luego, Tommy Castellanos. Best of luck to you. Next.
Next, I got a yeah oh, and I think we all agree with this one.
Oh yeah.
There was a fight on
Ugh.
on Netflix on Friday night. One Mr. Jake Paul versus Mr. Mike Tyson. And I think we all wanted to see Iron Mike do his thing. Netflix,
I-
get your shit together. Get your shit together. I don't know about you guys, but I was trying to watch my living room. I got the spinning wheel of death. Even 99%, I couldn't see shit. I had to go out, go back in, go out, go back in. Like, come on, get your shit together, Netflix.
It was bad.
So-
Guys,
They had,
we
they
can
had
talk about
years.
let's talk about the fights a little bit too.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I think we didn't get too much into that. Kraz, go.
So, all right. I've been watching boxing highlights for the last, I don't know, fucking 25 to 30 years.
Since he came out of the womb.
Since I came out of the womb, pretty much. I've been like YouTubing like highlights. And there's like one thing I've always noticed about Mike Tyson is he is like a lion. As soon as he draws blood, he just goes in. And there were a couple times in the fight where I was watching the fight and like he hit Paul and he hit Paul good. And Paul dropped his gloves down. He didn't drop all the way down, but he dropped down enough. And a typical Mike Tyson and any of his 26, 27 fights is going in and is eating. And he went to go in and he stopped himself. You can go back and watch it. And it just pissed me off that he stuck to the script and he didn't finish him off. I thought he was gonna say fuck you script, fuck you Netflix, and knock his ass out, and he didn't do it. So that was unfortunate.
It was a farce of a fight. Good for Jake Paul and Mike Tyson for making a fat bag of money. They scammed each and every one of us into logging into a death trap that was Netflix, who not only has this situation, but previous live event situations that they have poorly executed. And they have some
Roast.
NFL games that are up on their schedule.
Ugh.
Sounds like they might need an observability and monitoring tool.
Yeah, sounds like they need All Business Pete from Barstool to go figure their shit out. Or like go like can't the NFL go to Amazon and be like, can you tell them exactly what you do so they can fucking replicate it here? And the
it's just
Amazon
like-
broadcast sucks.
They
too.
probably don't want to.
Didn't they
Well,
have years?
Netflix-
Didn't they
Netflix
have
They
years-
want
years?
them to suffer.
Like they had so long to troubleshoot for this. It's just crazy how they like.
Yeah,
They-
no, they did.
they
And they
couldn't
knew
figure
it
this
was going to
out.
draw.
They said
So-
they were prepared too, and it
Oh
just-
yeah,
No, yeah,
Really
really showed. Really showed.
not
they were
when
confident.
not when
Can we
you're
get-
a worldwide platform though. If there were truly 60, I don't think you can be prepared to have 60 million households trying to log in to watch this fight. But they better figure it out now. You need to, we might
They have a
X
Christmas Day
amount.
game coming up. They have
They're
Christmas
gonna
Day
have-
games coming up.
How
So
many viewers does the Super Bowl have? Like 100 million plus, right? Like if you plan for what you would see for a Super Bowl, that's probably the most watched live television event each year. And if you don't need all the resources that a Super Bowl has, fantastic. You were prepared for it though. Otherwise, fuck you.
I got a yo.
go
How
for it.
about
Huh?
yeah, yo? How about like just judging in boxing is just a big yao to me. That Serrano, what was it?
It was a great fight,
Taylor.
Katie
Great
Taylor.
fight.
Taylor
Oh yeah,
Thomas.
to the
Yeah.
fight. Oh yeah, to the fight.
Oh yeah, to the fight. But I think we all can agree that we thought Serrano kicked the other
She
woman's
won.
ass. Like
She threw more punches. She landed more. She
She
landed
also-
a higher percentage.
she was also like her eye was like completely opened up. Like she through a lot of adversity. She battled and she should have won in my opinion. So I think judging in boxing needs to be looked at because that was a hoax.
Yeah.
And
the fight
the
before that one
yeah.
too was awesome.
That was
that
awesome.
Barrios
Ramos
versus
and
Ramos?
Barrios, two
Yeah, that was the best fight of the night, honestly.
undoubtedly
was.
two guys from Mexico who had immense respect for one another. That was undoubtedly the best fight of the night. Just went the distance. Both guys towards the end, you could tell were gassed.
Getting the Q-tips all the way up their
God,
nose.
so
Yeah,
gross.
I was like, oh my god.
Oh, with Serrano, and they were just like dumping the Vaseline into the cut.
Yeah.
They're like, let's just like stop the bleeding for like a minute, and then
Yes.
we'll get back to it.
The
Is
gladiators.
boxing,
One punch and
is boxing in the
Gladiators.
comeback? Are they in the come up right now? Like what's the deal?
Okay, so
It always has been. I
it's a
mean,
good
But it's
point.
kind of gone
follow
away
it.
a little bit.
But you
I
got-
Oh, that main event kind of fucked it, to be honest.
it fucked it, but up until now, you have to give Jake Paul credit for bringing back boxing and in the amount of people that he's gotten to buy in. You can hate him, you can think he's a scam artist, I think he's a shit boxer, to be quite honest, and doesn't pick anybody to fight that's a respectable opponent, but he has brought it back to a point where for whatever
Now he
reason,
has.
you know that the fight's on the calendar and you fucking go and watch it, even though you really don't want to. I would not imagine if that was a pay-per-view fight at $89.99, people would have lost their ever-loving
Oh
fucking mind.
my, yeah.
That's.
I would have
Well,
rather had the spinning
I'll leave
circle
where
of
to
death.
stream it for the off. Yeah, I'll leave
Yeah.
where to stream it for the
Yeah.
off. The
I'd rather watch
show,
on TikTok than pay that.
Indeed. UFC. Let's just stay on the fight scene for a minute. John Jones, reclaiming the belt or defending the belt. I don't know, but it looked like quite the scene.
He's
at
a monster.
Quite the scene at Madison Square Garden. I really don't want to get into all the characters that were in attendance, but holy shit, what a cast of characters that were there.
How do you think he celebrated?
He had McDonald's on the way home.
Oh, that's good.
Large
With
fry.
the large Coca-Cola.
Yeah,
Yes.
Yes.
Large a cola.
Cola.
not diet.
Casey Jones, how about that? I think that's what he had. Little Casey Jones action.
What if was Chandler there?
Oh yeah.
Hell yeah, he
Of
was.
course. Dude,
And
that
Art-
family,
and
man.
Arthur?
That family, dude. Like John Bones has always been just like a crusher, and like the one thing that's always really gotten him is he's always just gotten in trouble with substances and like. But dude, man, that guy can fucking fight, bro. I'll tell you what, that guy can fucking throw down, and he's not afraid.
Sure can. Gabe, we got a oh yeah that we gotta get to. That's more on the restaurant recommendation.
Oh, a restaurant review. Oh yeah, to the Brick House Cafe in Dedham. Josh and I went with double date action with significant others, Mrs. P and soon to be Mrs. S. We enjoyed a nice meal at the Brick House Cafe. We got some cheesy garlic bread. We each got our own salads that were like the size of Jupiter, and chicken parm, eggplant parm, the homemade pasta. It was just like it absolutely worth every penny. An incredible meal. It's like pretty much what you get in North End, but in Dedham.
Yeah, North End style restaurant in Dedham. I hadn't been for a long time and finally went back, and it was as good as I remembered. This also reminds me, we got a shout out where a few of us got to go a few weeks back with when Erky was in town to Tony's place, Elio's restaurant just down the street as well. So we had a delightful dinner at Tony's place. So all the Italian spots here in Dedham and the surrounding areas.
Hey. Speaking of Erky, I got a little yao.
Oh,
I got a to you guys who haven't paid up your fantasy dues.
oh boy.
You deadbeats.
Yeah. Well, I'm waiting on tabs from other people to pay me, and then you'll get your money. Don't worry.
Erky, you're part of that. You're part of that crew.
Yeah,
Pay
no
up.
shit, Sherlock. And that this is me. This is me fucking holding myself to standards here because of commissioner delinquencies and other things that happen throughout the season. So you'll get your money in time when you have to pay people. The problem is the high score payout pot has run out. So
Yeah.
he needs more money to pay
I
the high score
I
play.
helped feed it for this week, so
It's
Yes,
coming
yes,
your
you
way
did.
in the
Oh, I
next
fed it. I fed into it.
Yes, you,
next
yes, you did.
24 to 48 hours you'll have it. But I had to do that right there. It
Oh,
was
Plotty, you're not part of the ire there. The ire is mostly just for him. Because I talked to you. You're not avoiding me.
oh no. I don't avoid. I just fuck.
Erky.
What else is new?
We
I'll
know
come
where you
down.
live.
I'll come down and I'll collect.
We'll come to New York.
Yeah.
Ganondorf.
I'm coming down to Jersey in December, so I'll collect. I'll come and collect.
Oh, yeah.
Pull
Like
it-
they do in the tri-state area.
pulling up to the Upper East Side. You owe me.
He's busy, you know. You don't know what his job can throw at him at any time. Okay, so it's
You don't
Hey,
know.
hey, hey! I got an update. Bruins scored a goal.
Was it a
Let's
power play
go.
goal?
3-1.
I don't think it was a power play goal, but it's a goal.
All right. We'll have a third period to watch. and see
Charlie
if they can pull
Coyle.
something up. All right, getting his ass off. Kraz, give us the last oh yeah of the night. We finally have figured out where
Okay.
where the blog is gonna live. We're close.
So yeah, so the blog will live in a link, hopefully somewhere down below. Once this is all said and done. It is pre Juan Soto mania, so just take that into account. Hopefully I'll have something done within the next couple of days on Juan Soto mania, and then we'll kind of go from, and I'll make it kind of either a weekly thing or bi-weekly, or kind of just do it whenever something crazy happens. But then once the
Beautiful.
season starts, I'll get it going.
Awesome. So we'll get the blog going. It's going to be on our podcast website with our distribution partner Podbean. So we'll link to that in the link trees, and we'll link to it across the social channels.
Thank
so
you for
people
reading.
can find that. Yes, thank you for reading in advance. So let's take a look at the Pike the week ahead and everything that's coming up. Celtics with obviously the big game versus the Cavs on Tuesday, and then another game against the Wizards in the in-season tournament, and then some big games that we'll get to recap that are taking place on Sunday afternoon versus the Timberwolves, the new look Timberwolves, and the Clippers as well, who always seem to come in and play us tough. So 4 games to recap next week on the Celtics. Bruins, as we know right now, are in a dogfight with the lowest team in the league, the Blue Jackets. Utah Thursday and Detroit on Saturday. So will Monty have a job by the time we get together next week, I think is the biggest question going into the Bruins. And then the Pats, 1 o'clock down in Miami. Hopefully they're not melting. I don't have good vibes about the Miami game and their chances there. But anything on the week ahead, boys, other than the games, anything else we need to touch on? Any parting thoughts on the episode that was in the week ahead?
I might have boots on the ground against the Utah Hockey Club.
All right.
Sitting up in the rafter suites, and hopefully I won't regret that decision.
Hopefully. Also got a huge shout out to Matt Jenks for joining us at the top of the episode.
Huge.
A really, really awesome interview, and got to learn a little bit more just about him. The biggest thing,
Genuinely, just a great guy.
great guy, and somebody who approaches each day as its own day with a positive mindset, and really takes each day with what it comes, and seems to just like be a solution oriented kind of guy. Like, we're going to figure things out as we move along here. There might not be a playbook, but we'll be ready to go regardless of the situation that's thrown at us. So good luck to him. Good luck to Frank the Tank, who's been on an incredible journey himself, and all the success that he's had. And we'll definitely be talking to Jenks down the road at some point to catch up and hopefully get the big fella on with us as well. So that's going to do it. A long episode of the Boston Sports Brothers podcast this evening, but there was a lot of stuff we needed to dive into, both in Boston sports and some of the bigger things we talked about as well. So, fellas, a great night to see you all. We'll do it all again next week with a huge guest next week coming on the pod. So, God willing, he doesn't cancel on us, but it'll be a big one.
Have a great week, y'all. We appreciate you guys tuning in and listening, and we will see you all next week for the next episode.
Yeah, wherever you are.
Laila Tov.
See you next
Adios.
time.
Later.
Peace.